Capricorn, welcome to your weekly tarot reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there. And if you've been thinking about getting a personal reading, have a look at the description below because I am running a promotion until the end of the summer. So if you've been thinking about getting a personal reading, it's a good time to do that. All right, let's get started. For Capricorn, let's see what's the current energy around Capricorn for the week ahead. The 10 of Cups. That's a nice energy, Capricorn. So, it sounds like, or it looks like you're feeling kind of content with what you're doing. You're feeling emotionally content with what you're doing. And I think you've sort of realized that there's always going to be ups and downs, but that ultimately feeling happy and choosing happiness, it's a choice, because there's always ups and downs. Nothing is always going to be all ups. Your perspective may show you that things are all ups, and your perspective may show you that things are all down. It really does depend on the choice of your perception and the way that you're choosing to look at life. So, it's interesting. I think this card is always such a revealing one because of the mountains in the background and the trees here with the rainbow. To me, all of this describes the idea that there's always ups and downs in the mountain, that the emotions are always sort of present no matter what in the water, and that the trees sort of remind me of this idea of growth, that there's always life moving. Life is always moving and growing and expanding throughout these ups and downs. The rainbow always makes me think of the idea of what happens after a storm, that there's always a rainbow, that balance is somehow always achieved between those ups and downs. And so seeing that as your current energy is just lovely. Let's see here what could be challenging you, what could be creating an obstacle or challenging this feeling. The King of Cups. Interesting. So the King of Cups as a challenge card can often signify that we need to tap into our emotions a little bit deeper. Sometimes I think the King of Cups keeps things on the surface because that way the king can sort of be in the presence of a lot of different moving parts, a lot of ups and downs like we just talked about, but stays balanced. So perhaps there is a need for you to sort of look at things a little bit deeper than you might be right now. And the king could be challenging you in a way that says, are you able to stay balanced and stable in the ups and downs that you're experiencing? Are you sort of nurturing yourself and your experience, or are you sort of in a place where you're susceptible to some kind of manipulation? It's interesting. It's sort of an interesting combination of cards because it kind of feels like there's this opportunity to dive into something a little bit deeper, but there's also this opportunity for you to dive deeper into your own self-care and this idea of finding sort of that sweet spot between being empathic and being sort of discerning, where you're able to feel all the things and then be discerning in terms of how you process these emotions instead of having them sort of pull you under. Do you know what I mean? It's very interesting beginning to your reading, Capricorn. And look at the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Cups in reverse. So I really do think self-care is part of this, and self-love and self-acceptance. And a lack of judging yourself or being too critical of yourself is coming through as well. Let's see what's top of mind here for Capricorn is the Fool. I love this, Capricorn. It feels like you're, really being guided to balance the emotions, to see that there's always going to be ups and downs, but to not let that stop you from taking an adventure, and to not let that stop you from making a choice towards some new beginning. And it feels like it's interesting to see the 10 of Cups and then the 0, the Fool. So it almost tells me that you may be very satisfied with the way things are in a certain area of your life, but realizing that just because you're satisfied doesn't mean that's the end of the story, that there's still room for new adventures and new opportunities. Even though you feel really fulfilled and satisfied with what you're doing, there's no reason to just, stay put. I feel like there's still other things to explore and discover and expand on in your journey. And, it's interesting. You may be sort of aware of that. And, again, I keep looking at that King of Cups and asking him in what way he's causing you an obstacle or a limit. And it could be, another way of interpreting that is that it could be that there is a Scorpio in your life that could be challenging you, because the King of Cups is Scorpio energy, and we know Scorpio energy can bring about unexpected shifts and changes. And so the challenge in this could be that you're content and fulfilled in a certain area of your life, and now it's time to take it to the next level, and you might be feeling a little unready for that. But I do think that you're ready for a new adventure here. Let's see what's driving all of this for Capricorn. Isn't that interesting? The King of Pentacles, two kings. So the King of Pentacles is driving this reading, and it feels to me like you've been working really hard. You're dedicated, you're committed, you're skilled, and you've been developing your skills in a certain area for some time now, and it led to your feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment. It's interesting because it feels like by being so dedicated to your craft, whatever that is, and by being very focused and wanting to be very skilled at something that you do, you found a lot of joy in that. And I feel like you have had ups and downs, but ultimately there's this feeling of, well, what else can I do? And what's next in this path? And where do I go from here? And it feels really exciting, actually. It feels like you're starting to dream again about new things that you could do, and your untapped potential, and the new adventures that await you now that you've sort of gotten to this place. Where can you go next? And what else are you capable of doing? I think you've realized that you're capable of doing anything you set your mind to, and anything that you work hard on, anything that you really pursue with determination and focus. And I just dropped all my cards, is really moving you forward here. And I think that sort of having that evidence, where you're like, well, look what I've created. Maybe I'm almost feeling like, for some reason, the number 2, like if you look back on the last 2 years and you're like, wow, I really have created quite a different life for myself, doing what I've been doing, working on what I've been working on, and focusing on what I've been focusing on. I've managed to really change my life. And I don't know why the number 2 came up, but it's interesting. So I wonder now what you're dreaming of doing, Capricorn, and what you're thinking about adding or moving into. I say adding because it feels like some of you could just be taking what you're doing and adding the next layer to it, or expanding into a new phase of the same area, but expanding and growing. Excuse me. Let's see what the past energy will show us. Okay, so in the past, we see here that you may have gone through a period of sort of denying yourself of something. You may have been denying the truth to yourself about something, but then it's like you decided to move towards it anyway. There may have been a period in the past where you moved past limiting beliefs by trusting your heart. The Knights are all about movement, and so seeing the Knight of Cups here says to me that in the past you did take a chance. You did sort of follow your heart on something, And it developed slowly but surely. It developed. When I see the Temperance card here, it makes me think that you trusted the timing of things in the past. And I think that's coming up now to say, trust the timing of things again. That if you're feeling like it's time for a new beginning, don't limit yourself by saying, no, I'm fine where I am. I don't need a new beginning. I'm good where I am. It feels like if there is this sort of inspiration to move again, to shift again, to follow your heart again, to take it. Because you did it once before and it led to a really satisfying outcome for you. And I feel like it led to a lot of fulfillment. And it almost feels like we're getting that same message now moving forward that says, it's time again, Capricorn. It's time again. So trust in the energy that's trying to put you in a place to choose. Do I stay or do I go? Do I continue to work on what I'm working on? Or do I take this new inspiration that could lead to a new adventure and see what happens? Seeing the Seven of Pentacles in reverse tells me that you're still hesitating when it comes to that because you do feel so satisfied. It's almost like you don't want to rock the boat. But I feel like it's heavy on your conscious mind, this idea of adventure, this idea of pursuing something new. Let's see what the upcoming energy is for Capricorn. What's the upcoming energy? Okay, the upcoming energy is intriguing. We see the Queen of Pentacles, which is Capricorn, and the Two of Cups in reverse. So upcoming, it feels like if you sort of limit yourself and if you sort of don't move forward on something, you would sort of not be in alignment with yourself. I think your higher self is trying to guide you to move towards something that you're hesitating on. And you may be hesitating on it because you're not really grounded moving forward in the new energy. You may be trying to maintain the old energy, the energy of the current, which would be old moving forward into the future. So it feels like you must sort of trust yourself here. When I see the Two of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles in your future energy both reversed, that says to me, trust yourself. Trust yourself. Don't allow this break between you and your higher self to erode at this idea of a new beginning. Take it. Take the opportunity. It feels like it's presenting itself, and that if you don't take it, you'll be out of alignment with yourself moving forward. So it feels like the only step you can kind of take right now, Capricorn, is into something new and is into this sort of following your heart. You know, follow your heart. Let's see, how does Capricorn see themselves right now? That's funny. I was just thinking to myself, we haven't seen any swords yet. Eight of Swords, Eight of Wands, and the Knight of Swords, who brings in a lot of movement towards change. I want to start with these two eights, though, because that really says to me that you could be overthinking something very intuitive. That intuitively you're getting this green light to sort of move towards something, but logically you keep overthinking the what ifs. Well, what if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? And unfortunately, it doesn't feel like you're thinking about the how well it could go what ifs. You're thinking about the potential obstacles, the potential setbacks. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's me being a good planner, because a good planner always considers the worst case scenario first. Well, what about the best case scenario? I feel like you need to sort of start thinking about how this change could set you free from some limits and some obstacles. Seeing the Eight of Wands is a really strong indication to trust yourself, Capricorn, and I think you're sort of stuck between these two. You know, there's a part of you that really wants change, but there's a part of you that's sort of like overthinking it a bit instead of trusting yourself and your instincts. So trust yourself. Notice how the King of Swords is looking. He's looking at the Eight of Wands. He has his back to the Eight of Swords, the way I'm holding the cards. So use the energy that is trying to guide your change towards whatever intuitively you feel guided towards. as opposed to overthinking things that may be freaking you out and causing you to not see eye to eye with yourself. You know, it's interesting. There's a part of me that feels like you could be hoping for some sort of external motivation or external validation that sort of confirms things for you, as opposed to you just trusting yourself. Seeing the Six of Wands on the bottom of the deck, which makes me feel like you could be waiting for something to kind of external from you to come in and say, do this. And then you would trust it more than if it's just coming from yourself, which is kind of an interesting message. Let's see here. What is the outward expression of Capricorn right now? The Emperor. I love that. So when people see you, Capricorn, they automatically are like, Capricorn, they're a natural leader. This is Aries energy, another cardinal sign. You're a cardinal sign too, Capricorn. So it's sort of like we're seeing this Aries energy that says other people recognize your abilities as a leader. Other people recognize your abilities as someone who creates their own path. That someone who does exactly the opposite of what I was just saying, that you don't need external validation. You may be feeling that way due to some kind of insecurity, but it almost feels like other people see you and they immediately recognize that you're a leader, you're a visionary, you're able to make big moves and big changes in your own life for yourself, that you don't wait for someone to make those changes for you. You're the one that makes the changes. You know, you're the one that makes things happen in your life. And I feel like the Emperor is also very much a energy that makes decisions and takes choices in a way that moves him forward. You know, like he's holding a sword and a saber. So I feel like he's a leader and a decisive action taker, you know, like takes action, makes choices, and then follows through with those things to initiate changes for himself without being too concerned what other people think. Again, the Six is still on the bottom here. So let's see, what are the hopes and fears around Capricorn's energy right now? The Queen of Swords in reverse, Libra energy. So if you have some placements in Libra, it'd be interesting to see where you have those placements. That could advise the energy of this card a little bit further for you. And Aries as well. So if you have a Libra Aries nodes, you might, because Libra and Aries are opposites. So if you, let's say, have your South node in Libra, you're going to have your North node in Aries, and vice versa. So if you have that kind of interaction in your chart, that's interesting to look at right now. But seeing the Queen of Swords in reverse in the position of hopes and fears makes me feel like your biggest hope and your biggest fear surround whether or not you're right about something. And you know, it's interesting. It's like you're hesitating because you're not sure about it, right? We saw that Eight of Swords with the Eight of Wands. So there's this interesting sort of energy between your mind and your will, like your what you're feeling versus what you're thinking. And there's a difference between the two. The thinker part of you is sort of thinking about how this is a risk, and taking a leap of faith into a new path could be very risky. The Eight of Wands part of you, the part of you that's thinking with your gut and your emotions, is like, come on, we got this. We got this. And it's interesting. It's a battle between the will and the mind. Which one will win out? And we see it here too, the Emperor and the Queen of Swords. And it's the Queen of Swords in reverse. And so the Queen of Swords in reverse is really an energy that says, you know, sometimes being emotionally indifferent is the way to go. And so it's very intriguing. It's like there's a part of you that's like, I can't listen to my emotions. We have to just trust the logic. You know, I need to trust the logic here. And then that's like sort of the fear part of you. The hopeful part of you is like, well, maybe I should trust my emotions. Like maybe I should go with my gut and follow that. And so it's an interesting sort of dilemma that Capricorn may be facing. Do I follow my will and my gut and my emotions, or do I trust my head and follow logic? Well, Capricorn, I feel like the reading is guiding you to trust your higher self, to trust your gut, to trust the part of you that is emotionally wise and intuitively guided, to pursue the path that feels like the one where you're the leader and you're trusting yourself. It's very interesting. Let's see here. What's the potential outcome for Capricorn? The Lovers. Isn't that interesting? So you got to choose the path of authenticity here. You got to go with the choice that feels authentic and vulnerable. You know, it's the one that's, to me, it's the path of the Eight of Wands, not the Eight of Swords. So the reading is sort of confirming for you that the choice that you find that leads to this new sort of beginning here is the one that is the most authentic. It's the pathway of you trusting yourself and going in the direction that feels the most authentic. And the bottom of the deck, we see the Ace of Pentacles. So more confirmation of this new path, this new beginning, but you have to be willing to walk through that gateway. This Ace of Pentacles is an opportunity. It's a potential. It's a possibility that exists if you take it. You know, the aces are only as good as they are when we take them. If we don't take what's being offered to us, then we remain where we are. And it feels like you're being guided to take it, to take this Ace of Pentacles, to take the journey of the Fool, to start again, you know, and to trust yourself and to take the most authentic actions and choices, that those will lead you exactly where you're needing to go next. So interesting. Let's see here for Capricorn. What do they need to surrender or surrender to? What does Capricorn need to surrender or surrender to? Surrender to play. Isn't that interesting? Capricorn, you might be too focused on work. Take a break from overthinking, which is the Eight of Swords. Take a break from overthinking a goal. Do something fun. Play is a time of recreation and rejuvenation. So Capricorn, consider this your signal that it's time to go out and have some fun today. Go out and enjoy yourself. I think that was part of your message last week too, so it continues. Go out and have some fun and shake off this overthinking because it's not serving you. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust your gut, and go after that authentic new beginning. Take that leap of faith. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. I hope it's been helpful, and I'm sending you so much love and encouragement. Looking forward to reading for you again. Take care.